And welcome back. That's right. It is me. It is the Cyber Warrior. This is CyberWarriorStudios. And I know you are all here for another amazing episode of Security Happy Hour. And yes, you can get this awesome t-shirt on my shop at CyberWarriorStudios.com. But otherwise, look, hey, check it out. It's going to be an amazing Freya's Day. We got a great night planned, great guest planned. And I promise it'll be an amazing episode. So without further ado, I'll be right back. That's right. I'm back. I'm here. I've made it. I don't know what happened. I'm like 5 seconds. We had an intro and I had to come back. But look, hey, check it out. Anyways, it is me, the Cyber Warrior. With me this evening, I have the one and only Terry Bailey. Terry, how's it going, brother?
How are you, brother?
Oh, man, I'm doing good. Look, man, it's been crazy because actually I had a guest plan. Thankfully, she gave me a heads up like 2 weeks in advance of like, hey, I might not be able to make it. My work schedule's changing. And I was like, all right, like, just let me know. And then she let me know. And so I talked to Mwanawa and I was like, hey, you tend to know a lot of new people. Who can we get on? And she was like, hit up Terry Bailey. And I was like, fine, let's do it. So you were here.
I'm here.
As we're getting started, why don't you give people a rundown kind of where you are at in your journey right now? Because I know you're just trying to break in and kind of make some headway. So let people know.
All right, bet. Yes, sir. Yeah. It's a journey, man. The reason I really wanted to speak about Wish I Knew, it's multifaceted because, you know, I never thought I would like this stuff as much as I do, you know, and then originally when I got into it, I thought that like security was like IT, you know, just looking at stuff. But then when I realized once you peel that onion back and just, you know, so many directions you could go, because I've always been a perpetual student all the time anyway. You know, I just this gives me an opportunity to look and learn and know that I can't know everything, but I can still try.
Yeah.
But yeah, I thank you for having me on, brother. I really appreciate it, man. You know, now it was my cohort in a 6-month boot camp that we did. And man, I tell you what, in that moment, man, it was so much because I was going from 0 to 120 instantly. You know, you start out with Linux and then you go into networking and, you know, and it was such a cool experience because I got to meet so many people that were kind of in the same boat. And there's just an energy, you know, when you're all, you know, sitting there and you're like, I don't know what to expect. And then you meet so many different types of people from so many different backgrounds. And it's an awesome experience. You know, invested a lot into it, but, you know, I think it was worth every penny. And,
yeah, I mean, you've got your squad here.
Yes, yes.
She's here. Jerry's here.
What?
I got my squad here with Griffin, Infosec. So my boy Matt's here. Cybersec. Danny is here. So Cyber Dancer's here.
What's up,
Jerry's
Danny?
in the crowd. So we got everybody here. And look, hey, make sure y'all like, comment, subscribe, and share this, please. Get other people in because we got a lot to talk about this evening.
Oh man, and I'm subscribed as well. I did that earlier today. I'm Lord, man. I'm loving it.
So this is my baby. So this is my first show that I started. So when I started my channel, like I was like, all right, I'm gonna do some tech videos just to kind of pull in some of the crowd. But my goal was for this to like make its mark on the industry. And I kind of got away from the premise. So getting back to having new people on has been an amazing experience.
That's amazing, dude.
So with that,
yes,
this episode, you said you want to talk about shit you wish you knew.
Oh yeah.
So
I don't think I swore, but
no, you didn't. I did. That's just the way I am. So for the things that you wish you knew, what is one thing right now you wish you knew before starting this journey?
I wish I knew how challenging yet awesome the journey would be, because it was so nerve-wracking at times. And there was times where I didn't even know what imposter syndrome was until I got into the boot camp and really started to get into everything. Man, it was just such a crazy experience. You're diving all this new stuff, and then you get to that point. Because we did a little bit of everything. We did some red teaming, some blue teaming, and they kind of merged them together. But you didn't have the foundational part ahead of time, so you're learning it on the fly. And man, even though it's mortifying and crazy, it at the same time it's so exciting. And I was hooked, man. It's like a drug. I just
yeah, it really is, man. Like I grew up with tech. Anybody who's watched any of my other podcasts that I've done, I've been on a few shows, like Hacker Valley Studio and stuff. Like I talk about it. My journey came up in IT. I came up fixing computers and doing all this stuff. So
I
like,
love Hacker Valley.
for me, I get it. I get once you find it, and like yourself, I'm a perpetual learner. I have to constantly be learning something new. Now, for me, it's not always in tech. Sometimes it's something different. Like, whether it's faith-based or spiritual or life-based or you name it, I'm always trying to learn something new. And so this industry, and it is one of the reasons why I think it can account for why it pays people what it pays people.
Yeah.
Because there is no break. There is no off time. There's no downtime. There's legitimately, you are always learning, always growing, and always pushing to know more. And if you don't do that, you fall behind the 8 ball and you're kind of screwed. You're like, I might, I can't take that job because they're using modern tech and I'm still, 4, 5, 6 years back. Right. So like, if you're not keeping up, you fall behind.
Oh man, I could see it easily too. I mean, just in a little bit of time, because I'm probably getting close to a year and delving in completely. This journey too, it's also like a unfinished business kind of thing too, because when I was in high school, I was going to get into internet technology or IT, internet technology or whatnot, or information technology. And this was back in like 97. I'm kind of old, but and at the time, it was more important to I'll just come out and say it, man. I got into drugs a little bit and whatnot, partying, all that stuff. And now that I've got 2, teenage boys and I've got a family and I'm providing for them well in the trades, but at the same time, I feel like I'm unfulfilled. So I went full board. I came across a book that allowed me to take a little test. It's a guy named Ken Coleman, but one of the avenues was tech. And I was like, well, I just feel like I shuffled away from that. I couldn't, can I really go back to that? Yeah, truly. I mean, that's the experience, man. I'm sitting there, I'm like, wow, okay, so, what do I do? And my wife, she's like, find yourself, find who you are. Is this really what you want to do? And if it's not, find it. And, because those boot camps aren't cheap. And she said, we will find a way. So I've got this foundation that is just so rock solid and strong. She's even said if I have to downgrade what I'm making now to do it, she's got my back. And so it's just, it's full steam ahead.
And that's some of the best things. So anybody who doesn't know, and I am going to drink for this, KevTech ain't here, but I'm going to do it anyways. On my Walk With Me podcast, I have stated on several occasions, you have to find your purpose. You have to be willing sometimes to take that hit. You have to be able to find your why, have your support systems, all these other things. So let me do this real quick.
Yeah. I'll toast you, man. It's coffee.
Anybody. But... There you go. Hey, it works. But yeah, so I look at it, and that support system has been so vital, even for me. I've got a wife. Oh, there's KevTech. I didn't see you in chat, homie. God, don't get on my case, homie. I did drink. So my wife has been my biggest support. Like,
come on.
So and I got 5 boys. So, between moving and everything else, she built my desk. My parents came over, helped me build my bar. Well, it's not even done yet, but I started building the bar, which is where I'm standing now.
Nice.
she's done up some of my hoodies. Back when I first started selling merchandise, she did some of my hoodies, and that's what we were selling. And so all these different things, that support system is so vital. And then to have your purpose, you're not the only one who was into drugs and stuff like that. I've had other guests on that talked about going bankrupt, going broke because of all these different reasons. They were running around with the wrong crowd, doing the wrong things. Everybody has their journey, has their path, and has a story. And if we're not willing to give them the time of day, then we're missing out. Your story and your path to cybersecurity or to any career of your choosing is just that. It's your journey, your path. But those mistakes, those things that you did, make you who you are today.
Oh, ain't that the truth?
That's what's important, because you've learned and you've done. You're like, hey, man, I've done some crazy shit. I've lived my life. I've got a wife now. I've got kids. Like, I got this support and this why. I'm going for it. I'm come whatever. I'm gonna make it. And that's what I want more people to see, is that it doesn't matter where you're at in your journey. It doesn't matter how old you are. You have that support. You have that passion within you to keep going.
Man, isn't it so apropos that the last week was the why? Because really, that's like the foundation of what we're talking about today. I love how you were talking with Manal and you were saying, it's important that you know your why as your foundation before you can start anything else, because if you don't know why you're doing it. And I really like how you regulate that, because a lot of people may do it for financial reasons and feel empty and I thought it would be more, because they're always trying to supplement that. I just I think inside we all deserve we kind of deserve to have the voice of a lion, and a lot of us keep that thing in a cage and don't allow it to be presented, and I'm guilty of that too, man. So there's like a fine line between being humble and passive and just being held back. Make sense?
Yeah, for sure. We got. Look, I'm gonna butcher her name again, and she's gonna hate me.
Oh, she'll love you, man, all day.
Manawa.
Yes.
I'm gonna try it. Manawa.
She said preach
She's probably gonna yell at me again, but she said preach it. She was my guest last week. Go back and watch. I got the name right last week. For some reason, I can't do it this week.
You killed it, dude.
Andrea, I love all of this. Let's see. Jerry, that's why I respect you, Terry, for being totally transparent.
Oh, Jay, brother.
We got Cyber Dancer. I changed my major into cybersecurity, then joined Twitter, then I tap danced and found the Infosec community. I've been following Danny for a while. She's on my Discord. Oh. She puts out some amazing information, so she does some great things as well.
Nice.
I've had Griffin Infosec on the show. So all these people, it's about finding your why. And you're right. And I think when it comes to things you wish you knew, that is probably the biggest one that I think a lot of people miss. Is they get into it, like you said, for the money. They see dollar signs, and they're like, and I'm sorry, there's a lot of NPOs and a lot of groups out there right now preaching you can make 6 figures in cybersecurity. And me and Manawa talked about this last week, is that money isn't guaranteed. It depends on where you live. It depends on what you're doing. It depends on where you're at in your journey. It depends on what you know. All these different things. You can break into the field at like 80K or 70K or 90K. It all depends.
Mm-hmm.
And so when you're chasing dollar signs, you're never happy. And so your why is never going to be enough, because eventually companies aren't going to hire you.
Right.
They're just going to look at it. She said, damn it, man. I love you. I'm just going to call you MT. I'm tired of butchering your name. I'm just going to call you MT until I get you back on and you can correct me in person again.
I'm impressed with her, though. She didn't use the word nebulous one time in your interview, which is huge. I mean, it's earth shattering. She's gonna kill me for that. But
oh man, she's funny. I love her. I love Andrea. Dude. So Andrea is going to be on the show in either next week or the week after. So Andrea is going to be on, which is going to be amazing. No. you. But yeah, so like things that I think a lot of people miss is like knowing your why is probably the biggest thing that most people forget, and they don't want to. When it's like, I wish I knew how hard this career field was going to be. I wish I knew how much you would have to know, because I thought I knew a lot getting in myself. Yeah. And like I had studied red team, I'd done a little bit of blue team, and I thought I knew a ton of shit. And then I got in and I was like, oh my God, I don't know anything. I don't know shit.
My brother, you know, I will tell you that I've got an amazing mentor right now. He owns a little boutique pen testing group. And he tells me that all the time. He's like, man, you know, I've done all this, but I still every day feel like a noob. I was like, what? But you know, I've noticed that trend, man. The one thing I love about this so much, I've never seen a community that was so willing to reach out and help, but also at the same time so humble. I mean, like just between LinkedIn and just, you know, everybody I talked to on that, it's such a unique community that you can't pick up on anywhere else. You know, whether it be cybersec, whether it be security, it's just, I mean, I almost can't even put it into words, you know?
Yeah. And it's crazy because when we think about things we wish we knew, it's the people.
Yes.
Because some people get into this. I did. When I first got in, I didn't know anybody. I knew nobody. I got in, I started learning. Some of my friends played around with punters, and again, some more stuff I've talked about before, but like punters and kicking you off America Online.
I remember America Online punters, Proggies.
Oh my goodness, man. They used to fuck my day up. So like I did all this, and then I ended up getting more and more into it. And it wasn't until I retired out of the Army and wanted to start my own company that I was like, I'm going to get on Twitter and I'm going to start following all these people. Now, my personal account, I don't even use anymore because I am my brand. But like, I look at my personal account, I think I follow maybe like 40 people on there. Oh, wow. Maybe, if that. And then completely quit using it. I was like, I'm never going to use this. LinkedIn, I started using in the Army, and then I was like, oh, I got a job, I don't need it. It has been a chore for the past 5 years now to rebuild my entire network and realize how important community is to this industry.
Well said.
So important.
Yeah. How, if I can turn this around on you a little bit, how often through your career, if at all, has your why changed, just depending on, you know, what your goals were, what your focuses were?
Several times. But it's always, so before I had a wife and kids, my why was myself. I wanted to make money. I wanted to do what was right for me. I wanted, and again, actually go back and hold on. Kev Tech, this one's for you, homie. Listen to my why episode, the very first episode of my podcast, Walk With Me, where I talk about my why.
Let's do it.
And goals, and they can change. And originally mine was just, I want to win. I want to be the best, And I did that for a while. And then I found my wife, and we had kids. Went active duty Army. I wanted to be the five boys. So I wanted to be the best at everything. And then eventually it became, as I aged and got wiser, I need to do what's best for my kids. I need to do what's best for my wife, for my family. Yeah. And so my why switched from money and me to how can I best support them? How can I best do for them? And that is when it switched, and it will never change again.
Amen.
Until the day I die, my boys and my wife will always be my why. Now, I love helping others, and they are another huge why for me. If I don't put out content to motivate and inspire others, yes, it's a hit to my soul, and I feel like I'm missing out. Yeah. But as far as like why I'm still in cybersecurity, why I still do a lot of the things I do.
Yeah.
It's for my wife and kids, because I want them to see someone that is willing to do whatever it takes to support, help, motivate, and inspire them.
That is
And
fire.
so if I can do that,
So
then
good.
that's what matters to me.
That is so good, man. That's, as a dad, man, isn't it so awesome that you get the opportunity? I always like to look at it as almost wearing shoulder pads. You start at the ground level and you try to provide for them a way to do better. I had a conversation with my son about this. He was kind of, just intent on.
Have you ever had the breathe conversation with him?
Explain.
My son, my oldest,
Yeah.
has, at least he used to. He's kind of grown out of it a little bit. Had a temper and an attitude. Most kids do. But his would get to the point where he was damn near pulling his hair out and almost wanted to hit his head off a wall and all this other stuff. So when I see him losing it and his anxiety and just everything, stress just goes through the roof, I didn't yell. Walked in, sat with him, breathed. In, out. In, out. Calm. Bring your heart rate down. Bring your blood pressure down. Calm. Now think. That is when you will find your clarity. Yeah. I have had that talk with at least 2 or 3 of my kids already, if not all 5. Calm. Because when you react, and it comes down to what everybody does. Kids do it more often than adults, but I've seen way too many adults do this. Reacting emotionally versus logically.
Yeah.
And so, Griffin, I love you, homie. Grounding techniques. It's all about grounding yourself. And this is why I love nature. This is why I believe what I believe. And it's getting out there, it's just grounding yourself and being one and finding your center. As a parent, that is the most important thing you could teach your kids, regardless of your faith, is just ground yourself, center yourself, and just find that center within you to just be like, okay, I can talk now. I can voice my logical thoughts, not my emotional thoughts.
Man, you didn't know you were going to go this deep today, did you, buddy?
Hell no. Hell no. But you know what? I still love it. I got a question in there too, because Carrie always comes with some random ass questions during the show, and I love it. So we will get to that question, Carrie. I haven't forgot about you. He yelled at me the one day, thinking I forgot about it. I did not forget about you, Carrie. I got you. Your question is starred. We'll bring it up eventually. But yeah, man. So for me as a parent, like, that is very vital. Is I have to talk to my kids, and I have to just. Yeah. And my son wants to be a graphic designer, my oldest one, and I'm like, dude, you're gonna have failure. You're gonna have all this. Woo-sa. Anybody who doesn't get that reference, you're too young. Get out of here. That's awesome. Or you just don't like good movies, because Bad Boys 2 is the shit. I'm just saying.
That was a good one.
But yeah, so what are some other things that I'm going to ask you this question, and then we're going to get to Carrie's. Okay. What are some other things that you wish you knew before you got into this? Okay. And then also, hey, in the chat, please throw up any questions you have, or just things you wish you knew before you got into cybersecurity.
Heck yeah.
Either one works for me.
Yeah.
But Terry, what is something else you wish you knew before you got in?
I wish I knew I was capable of doing it before I got into it. I was so in my head about, I can't do this. I don't know. I like it. I learn a little bit each day, and that's okay. You know what I mean? Like, it's so much. It's almost like trying to drink from the fire hose, and you're just like, dude, there's no way I'll get all this. But then you catch yourself, and it's just, anything that's insurmountable or seems insurmountable is going to be a challenge. But if it's not a challenge, then why are you doing it to begin with? Yeah.
And I have surrounded myself with like some of the best people. So I talked to someone the other day. We're not going to discuss who, we're not going to discuss what. It was about simply stating what
Vegas.
me and this person talked about was they were talking on my level, meaning that same thing, right? So it was all about building everything. It was all about your purpose, your why, your, all these different concepts. And I'm just like, are you like in my head? Are you following? Like, are you listening to my podcasts or what are you doing? Because I've said half this shit before.
Mm.
And so for that same reason, and it is, if it's one of the biggest things I say is if it is not hard, if you're not going to find obstacles in your path, then it's not worth it.
Dude,
what are you earning at that point? And are you really going to find value at the end of it? If it is just handed to you, if it's an easy road and it's basically handed to you, do you find any value? Are you really getting anything from it? Do you find any success or any, I don't know, passion or anything for it?
Yeah.
If you don't have to work for it, then what are you really getting from it? And so I love that.
Yes. Yeah. Like I said, the fruit's in the journey. That's where the glory comes from, the integrity that you build from it. Man, just the experience. I mean, if you really break it down to everything, I mean, everything that we do, everything that we value, for us to be able to value it, we have to have the experience itself. And that's good, bad, and different,
Yeah. So I do got so we're gonna hit Carrie's question.
Let's do it.
Then MT got a question. I'm not gonna butcher her name anymore. And then my boy Griffin got a question. So we're gonna hit Carrie's first. And I know you're still kind of breaking in, but we're gonna see if you can address this. How hard do you think it is to get somewhere in tech using Linux?
Well, consider it. Well, I mean, if you want to be like a system administrator or something like that, man, there's a lot of availability there. Are we talking like strictly Linux, or because I mean, let's be honest, Microsoft is pretty much in any kind of enterprise or whatnot. But I definitely think that Linux is a valuable tool. And like I say, I'm a noob, but and I just started hitting hands on keyboard. But one thing Linux taught me is the command line's pretty awesome. It's like it gives you that dexterity, and you're like, oh man, look all the stuff I can do. It's so efficient. It's so great. Oh, look at me. Oh gosh, but I definitely think that I think it's vital, to be well versed in a lot of things, especially with the job seeking that I'm doing. Because truth be told, man, I'm working 50 hours a week and still trying to find my way into tech and whatnot. So my journey, I've already come to terms with the fact that it might be a little bit longer, but it's going to be worth it. But definitely, I mean, I don't think you should just limit yourself to Linux, though. I think we should, work with all the different types of platforms, Mac, Windows. I mean, because you just never know what great opportunity is going to be awaiting you. And, but Linux is definitely one thing that's helped me a lot with understanding databases and the way that Linux is arranged and aligned. You know what? It's such a microcosm of everything else when it comes to even networking, or if you start with Bash or whatever, then it really kind of cascades down. And for me, when I started learning Linux, it kind of helped me understand organization a lot better too. Even though Windows is set up differently, I mean, really, the organization is kind of the same. They just have different proprietary, definitions of where they're going to set things. But I think if you set your mind to it, it's going to be hard, but worth it. Does it make sense?
Yeah, definitely. I agree. Yeah. And when it comes to Linux is one of those big things that is huge in the security community, especially. So if you're trying to get into cybersecurity, Linux is huge. However, and I will state this, Windows and Mac are just as big. Yeah. Mac is making more of headway. Mm-hmm. Windows, though it owns the market share of corporate America, it is still one of those things where you can find, and FireEye, I don't know if they maintain it anymore. Mandy and whoever the hell bought them at this point, I don't even know who owns it anymore. But FireEye Commando was out there. And so it allowed for, and I prefer it because that Windows security distribution as a red teamer allows you to do so much more, because now instead of playing around with like LDAP search or some of these other harder tools where it's harder to learn, if you're on a network and you're running Windows, your blue team has a lot harder time seeing you because you're running Windows. So you're not searching or Linux stuff. You're on Windows.
Yeah.
And then B, you can tie into ADUC and Active Directory and all these other things that is just easy. So understanding every operating system, every technology, again, it's not, Linux isn't going to set you back. It is going to put you ahead.
Yeah.
As long as you understand Windows. Mac is a bonus, but Windows and Linux are the two biggest things right now in corporate America.
Yeah, I mean, man, if Mac ever like loosened their restraints on their kernel even a little bit, man, look out. If they gave you
either that or lowered their price, one of the two.
Well, yeah, I think still if they allowed you to kind of break loose with because that's really Mac's biggest. Because I've got an iPhone and all that stuff, but really Mac's biggest knock is that they don't allow you to do certain things.
Yeah.
And that's why Windows is got the market share, because they allow more free. I was going to say free ability. That's not even a word. I'm making up words up here now, man.
Windows gives you a little bit more freedom within the operating system. They open it up to more people to be able to manipulate things, more your graphics card companies and things like that. And Mac, I'm sorry, they kind of shit the bed for a little while when they went to the M1 and now the M2, where what worked on the M1 now doesn't work on the M2 chip. So, there's so much fighting right now that
do it. I'll thank you. I don't know where that came from. I'm sorry.
Oh man. So the next question we got from MT, and again, I'm not going to butcher her name. I already told her that in chat. I'm done butchering it. We're just going to go with it. If you want to know what her name is, I pronounced it right last week. Go back and watch it and/or listen to our podcast. As soon as I put it out there, I got to put the audio podcast out there. But she says, question for you, Terry. What is your favorite thing about cybersecurity?
Oh, I knew you would ask me a question like that. How dare you? Dare her make me think. Oh my God. Okay. Endless possibilities. If I break it down to everything, so let me draw a parallel. Okay, so right now I'm deep in the trades. That's my thing. So I'm in the plumbing area, and I've been a technician for a long, long time. And, I'm kind of at a point where there's not much room to go unless I own a company or something along those lines. And with the government regulations, things like that, it's not beneficial at this point in juncture. So I have this feeling of being stuck. Well, from what I've seen from cybersecurity is there's a freedom there. Okay, well, say I go into pen testing and I'm like, yeah, man, I'm going to go hack everything. And I'm going to go in there, I'm going to do everything. But then I'm like, man, paperwork sucks. I don't like this. There's like a million other avenues that I could venture off into that are kind of similar, involve certain things. I could, go on the blue side, do threat hunting. It's very, very similar. But it's just the freedom of that adventure of exploring is the thing that has really attracted me. And like I said, man, it's like a drug. It's so addictive.
You got an addictive personality, kind of like me.
I do. It's scary, right?
Why I stay away from drugs.
Drugs are bad.
I stick to my alcohol and my nicotine and my caffeine, to the legal ones. That's what I stick to for now. I'm in PA, so I don't have any other options.
Copy. Yeah.
I've been drinking Monster all day. I'm now on my downer. I'm drinking beer, so we're okay. But yeah, cybersecurity was the same way for me. I get it, man. It's addictive. It is. It's like a drug. And I've told people I've also got like ADHD when it comes to reading learning books. So I have probably two shelves full, if not more, of like IT and cybersecurity books. And I always start them, find a new topic, and go, oh, I want to know more about that. It's kind of like seeing squirrel, you know? So it's like squirrel. And so I go pick up a new book, and I start reading that, find a new topic, go buy another book, and then find a new topic, and then buy another book. So other than Linux Basics for Hackers, which I did a whole playlist on, I have not finished a single book that I own. I have read
a new
some of
playlist.
them, found a new one.
That's awesome.
The only reason I did Linux Basics for Hackers was because I was like, I need a tech playlist that's going to work. And so I went chapter by chapter through that book and actually made it happen. And then I was like,
you literally diagrammed it and went through every single chapter?
Every single chapter. Chapters 1 through 16. I did not do chapter 17, which was Python scripting. And it is solely because I do scripting.
Yeah.
I don't like it. I do it, but I don't like it. And so when it got to that chapter, I was like, I'm not trying to explain this. I'm not trying to find the new scripts and fix his broken ones because Python 3 is out. No, I ain't messing with it. Nope. And I stopped right there.
Did they have the earlier version of Python in the book?
Yes, Python 2.
Oh, boy. Gotcha. No, I totally understand that. Yeah, I delved into that a little bit. Like, I ran into this one. It was like Python Inside Out. And, oh, my gosh, dude, or learning, man, it gets into like.
I bought my nephew when he was for high school, learn Python the hard way for Python 3.
Ooh.
Because my mom and him were she was helping him go through the course because it was online. It was during the pandemic and everything. So like everything was online for it. And so I bought him that after he got done with it. And she was like, I'm done. And so they gave me the book back. So I have a learned Python. I might actually do a giveaway with that. That might happen in the next couple of weeks. A learned Python 3 the hard way book. Because I do my own. I use Stack Overflow and other ways of learning. I copy and paste pieces of scripts.
Oh my! Hey, can I tell you that Python almost broke me in the boot camp? Like they only touched on it a little bit. I was so confused and just so completely lost that. That's really the only thing that like I didn't dig into and like, yeah, man, I got this. Like I never felt like I had it.
I got my GPYC. So I got my SANS Python coder certification. Back when it was in beta, I took the test and I passed it.
Wow.
I took the course with Mark Baggett. He's the one that designed the entire course when I was in the Army. Wow. And he goes, hey, I think we're coming out with a beta test for this. If you want to take it, they're going to send you an email this at the 3rd. So I was like, all right. So I took the beta test. It was free. Like free certification. Fuck it.
It's SAN.
Like to this day, I can read a Python. I love Python. It is so easy to read.
Yes. I
just suck at writing it. I am absolutely horrendous at like going through and writing it. I'm just like,
give me a bash
script. I can read it. I can backtrace some errors. I can fix certain things. But if you want me to write like a 15-file Python program, you're asking the wrong fucking person. I'm not going to do it. You might get like 20 lines of a script from me. That's about it. After that, I'm done. I'm done. I quit.
Okay, so I'm not alone. Bet.
Right? Like, definitely not alone in that one. Oh, man. So Griffin put up a bunch of things. So anybody, hey, if you are on audio podcast listening to this, please come to my YouTube channel and check out the live chat replay. Griffin Infosec has a bunch of stuff going on in chat. We got learnpythonthehardway.org/book and automatetheboringstuff.com. So all these things are amazing for Python and just about anything. Python is an amazing scripting language. It's available on all operating systems. You don't have to worry about it. So it is something awesome to learn if you're interested in it. Otherwise, so we're going to move on from our girls' question, and we're going to move on to Griffin's. What was your biggest challenge?
Well, we just talked about it. It was Python. Yeah. I lost many, dude. I'm telling you, we had, it is the only test that I utterly like just epic failed on. Like it dropped my grade down like 10 points. Now I did go back and, I am kind of going through it now. So eventually I do plan on being able to write the scripting and stuff, but, yeah, that was probably the biggest one. Other than, like I said, imposter syndrome. I didn't even know it was a thing until I started cybersecurity, or at least learning it.
Me neither. Actually, it took for me to join the community for me to know imposter syndrome was a thing.
It'll teach you quick, won't it?
I started seeing that shit all over the place. I was like, "What are you talking about?" And I was like, "Oh,
yeah,
I feel that.
Yes,
I know what you're talking about."
Who am I? And what's really cool too is, I keep going back to LinkedIn because that's the main one that I'm on. But that has been a big one. Like there's all these guys that have these big titles or whatnot, and they've always said, "No, man, that's it." I mean, CEOs, and they're like, "Dude, yeah, no, it's a real deal." You just have to know that just means that you care about it, greatly.
And you'll find people that try to like deny it. I've found people in the industry that try to deny it. Oh yeah, I've seen them. They're like, "Oh, imposter bullshit, homie." If you're telling me you never felt imposter syndrome, that is you telling me you think you know everything about the field and you've never come across somebody smarter than you, which means either you're fucking Sheldon from Big Bang Theory and you have an eidetic memory and remember every fucking thing you've ever done in your entire life, or you're a lying piece of shit and you're just trying to have an ego that doesn't fit through any doorway.
Yeah.
If either of those things work, I don't want to deal with you. Otherwise, let's talk, because you should never be the smartest person in the room.
Yeah.
You really shouldn't. If you're trying to get something out of life, you should never be the smartest person in the room.
I try to be the dumbest, and then if I elevate myself the smartest, then I got to move up. Yeah, I gotta move down.
You got to hit a different room, homie.
Right.
That's what? Hey guys, I love you all. We'll continue to talk, but I gotta go this way. Exit stage left.
It's like these man.
But it's one of those things. Like in cybersecurity, you should never be the smartest person in the room.
Yeah,
you really, unless you're a consultant, then you probably should be the smartest person in the room. But if you're with your peers,
it probably helps.
You should probably be in the right room is the room where you're not as smart as everybody else.
Right.
So yeah, I mean, I completely agree with that. Imposter syndrome's a bitch, and I've talked about it. Back in my old house, that was why I had every single certification I've ever had in my life hung on the wall behind me, because that was how I got past it. Now I'm just like, you know what? Fuck it. I'm just gonna keep learning.
That's right.
I just got through it. It literally got to the point where I'm just like, you know what? If I feel stupid, that means I gotta learn more. Let's just go. I'll just go figure it out. Nice. That's just all you can do.
Now, did you go the route of certifications originally?
Oh, dude, I got
go down that track first.
So I got a degree. Back when I was in the Air National Guard, and then I've got when I was in the Army, I ended up getting 4 standard certifications. But I also got my CEH, my CB. I had the alphabet. Like literally, if there was a letter for a certification, I probably had it. But I didn't. The Army paid for it, so that's why I got it. It wasn't.
Yeah.
If it was up to me, all these people to like save up and pay for certs, nope. Even now, I will not renew a cert if the company isn't paying for it. I'll let that bitch expire. Because you're either going to take me on experience or you're not going to take me at all.
Right.
I don't fucking care. I refuse to rely on paper to get me to where I want to be. Now, it's very hard for people just trying to get in.
Yeah.
People trying to get in, you need to pay.
You need something.
You need something.
Yeah.
And if you don't have paper, that's not a problem. But you better have a blog, a YouTube channel, or be posting on LinkedIn every day.
Yeah.
Plain and simple. And that's why I love what Cyber Dancer's doing, because Danny's on point, has been putting out posts and blogs and everything else. She drops that shit in my Discord, which, hey, you're a little bit late, Cyber Dancer. You owe me another blog post.
Scarred. Well, I'll tell you, I'm actually studying for the CISA Plus, and it's going to be great to get the cert. But really, the reason I pursued that one is because it's so over-encompassing of so many different realms.
Yep.
Yeah.
The one I got that I thought did really well for me, I got because, again, I happened to luck out coming up in certifications. I was one of the only ones in my high school that had actually, I was the only one in my school district that had my Microsoft Office, not an IT, not a cybersecurity, Office master certification. I went beyond my teachers, beyond everybody else. So that's where I kind of got the drug addiction to certifications and started chasing them.
What years was this?
2000 and 2004.
Oh man, Pioneer. Yeah, that was really.
I got
really
it. My high school offered Business Academy, and they were like, "Hey, we'll pay for these Office certifications." And I was like, "You what?" All right, I got you. Got them all, every single one of them.
That's actually the goal, man. I'm gonna try to get a couple under. Truth be told, I'm gonna try to get try to get the CISA Plus under my belt just to have it. But that's gonna be the next goal. Can I achieve and get to the point where the only reason I'm getting certs is because the occupation requires it? Yeah. That's
if the company's paying for it, there's no reason why not.
That's right.
And that's the thing is I will not renew a certification if a company doesn't pay for it.
Now, would you say that mid to small companies are more likely to do that, or to the bigger companies, or does it matter?
It varies from company to company.
Gotcha. Just depends on what they need, I suppose.
Yeah. It really varies on how much money they're making. Small companies are great. I love small companies. I really do. I think they can give a lot of junior people a lot of growth potential. But the bigger companies have more money to just kind of be like, "Oh yeah, I got you. Go to this conference or renew this certification. It's okay. Yeah, we got you." Smaller companies, a lot of times they're fighting for their contracts and trying to make that money.
Right.
So it's really rough. But yeah, I think it goes back and forth.
I guess it depends on the role you're looking for too. Do you want to have more responsibility and more ability to direct and whatnot? If that comes the case, then they're gonna pay you if you're actively doing that, or they need you in that particular role.
Yeah, makes sense. And so for me, like the CCNA Cyber Ops was the one that I think gave me the most in terms of blue team and just things that it offered.
Yeah.
That I don't know if that certification is still around. They were kind of playing around with a bunch of different certifications for Cisco. I got my CCNA, got my CCNA security. When I went for Cyber Ops, it taught me Snort because they had bought out the company. So it taught me all these things they did. And they're like, "Oh yeah, Snort's still free, but if you pay for it, you get all this other stuff. We'll give you, things sooner and da 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 da." But it was the way it did things and the way it explained information. And that is why I've always loved Cisco learning and Cisco certifications, because beyond what it taught you from a Cisco standpoint for being brand specific, it taught you a lot just for the foundations of what it was trying to teach you. So for CCNA, so much about networking get taught you. And people don't realize it. I'm like, dude, I never took a Network Plus in my life. But you put me in front of a CCNA, and I loved every single second of it.
Nice.
Every second of that journey, trying to get it, which it took me 4 times to pass.
Ooh.
So look, if you failed, I don't fucking care. I don't want to hear it. You'll get it eventually. The Cisco, the CCNA took me 4 times to pass, and I loved it. The CCNA Cyber Ops, I took that online. That is probably the only course I've ever passed taking a completely online course. But I had been in the field for a while, and just learning everything about the blue team side of thing that it taught you was just amazing. And it was a standout certification. And for anybody that can get the cyber ops, I beg of you, please go do it. If it still exists. Again, I haven't looked at it in years. All my Cisco certs are expired. I pulled them all off my resume because they are expired.
Yeah.
But the cyber ops, if it still exists or anything of that vein,
that's
amazing
interesting
to look through.
Yeah. So CCNA is going to be Cisco proprietary.
Oh
type.
yeah.
Are there tests?
But they always teach you the foundations of what they're trying to teach you. So they'll teach you the foundations of security. So like CCNA security, they brought you into their GUI and taught you all their firewall bullshit. But they also taught you the foundations of firewalls, the foundations of their products, which gets you so much further than what some of the other certifications do.
That's awesome.
And that is shit that a lot of people don't know. Cisco, by far, is one of the best certification companies out there because that's who taught me my foundations. That's who taught me the foundations of security, the foundations of networking, the foundations of subnetting and blue team and just all this other stuff was Cisco. Nobody else.
Oh, gosh, I have so much to learn about subnetting. Oof.
Subnetting's a bitch, but it was PTI. I went to, it's PTC now, Pittsburgh Technical College. John Buhagier is who taught me subnetting. That man was a fucking genius and a rock star. And I stand by Pittsburgh Technical College and the stuff that he teaches.
That's awesome.
Yes, MT, CCNA still exists, but the CCNA CyberOps. Somebody please inform me if CyberOps still exists, because I don't know. I know CCNA does because they have the CCNP and the CCIE and everything else. I want to know if CyberOps and security still exist.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we got more questions. Shit.
You got
we did what was your biggest challenge. So Javier, when you first started, did you know that technology would change so frequently and so fast? I'm gonna let you know what? I'm gonna bring you up. You're gonna be a solo act. I'm gonna let you answer this all on your own.
Okay. All right. So when you started, did you know that technology would change so frequently and so fast? I will say that I knew it changed because I grew up in the 80s and I've seen things, gosh, I remember pagers or whatnot. But I will say that when I actually got into the tech itself, it blew my mind. Absolutely 150% did not expect when I started looking at the foundations of things that technology could change so fast. I mean, because you're talking about now we have deep learning, data enrichment, just all kinds of facets of things that are just ever evolving. And it almost seems like daily those things change. Whenever you do a CAPTCHA, you're teaching a computer how to think. I'll tell you the realm itself is so ever evolving. I truly had no idea what to expect, and I don't expect it to go anywhere either. I keep expecting us to go to Skynet one day, maybe. Hopefully not. That would be bad. But for those of you who don't know, Skynet's from Terminator. Anyway. I forget there's some youngins out there.
We do have some young bucks that probably don't know that. We do have some youngins in the audience.
I can't make.
If you're in cybersecurity and don't know what Skynet is, you really need to go do some research and watch Terminator 1, 2. After that, I don't care. But 1 and 2.
Saddest movie ever. Terminator 2 when he gives him a thumbs up. That's it. Bar none. Saddest movie ever.
Oh man. But yeah, so yeah, it is. It's one of those things that I look at. So some people earned like 1,000 movie awards. It actually did. Some people don't understand. I equate being in IT/cybersecurity to being in the medical field, like a doctor or something like that, because the technology and the way we go about fixing things is always changing. For us, I think it may change a little bit more frequently. I don't know. I'm not a doctor. All right. If I was a doctor, I'd probably get paid a hell of a lot more money. Just saying.
You'd still be doing a podcast, though.
Yes, I would. That can happen. Damn straight. But but I think that like the amount of learning and going to conferences and always trying to keep up with date and always trying to do different things. So I equated a lot to the same, which is my bitch about the military, because the military won't bring you in at like, I forget what they bring doctors in at. It's like a major, I think, is what they'll bring officers for doctors in at. So cybersecurity should be the same way. If you've gone through, you can go in as an officer, you should get boosted up the ranks because the amount of learning that goes into knowing the field and take that role. So for things like that, I look at it and I'm just like, this is why people don't do certain government jobs. Yeah. Because the civilian sector at a certain point will pay you. Mm-hmm. If you have the education, if you have the experience, they will fucking pay you. But you will only keep getting those raises and keep getting paid for as long as you keep learning. The moment you stop is the moment people look at you and go, guess what? Cuts are coming down. Yeah. All these layoffs, deuces, you're not keeping up with the times. Yeah. And so you're out. Doctors would be the same way. Hey, you just cut someone open from like chest to belly button. We have these little robots that'll like literally put this big of an incision in someone. You're out, homie. Like, we can't be doing this shit no more.
We shouldn't see their spleen right now.
Right? Like, so these things happen. And so, yeah, I think that people who are just getting in need to understand you have to keep learning. Yeah. You have to keep growing. You have to keep pushing, or else you're obsolete.
And wouldn't you also too say that you have to have that drive? That has to be your why to want to.
Oh man. So I'm gonna bring Andrea's comments up. To be challenged is a learning experience within itself, and this is gonna get to it. And there's a reason I brought this up, because yes, you have to have that passion and that drive. We talked about this. If you are chasing money and dollar signs, A, you're never going to be happy. B, it makes it a hell of a lot harder to learn something. If your why and your passion and your drive and everything screams IT and or cybersecurity, it makes it a hell of a lot easier to retain the information. If it's money, retaining that information because you fucking hate it or it's bland or you don't enjoy it is so much harder. Take it from somebody who could get straight A's if I actually cared about the fucking shit I was learning. When I cared, I got A's. If I didn't care, I could sit in class all fucking day and I'd still be like, yeah, okay, sure, whatever. Got you. Yep. All right, I'm going to go to sleep now.
You got that down, man.
If I was not interested, it is so hard to retain that information. But when you're interested, it's so much easier. That passion, that drive will feed you and drive you to the highest peaks of cybersecurity. It truly will.
That's so good, man.
Dude, I could go for hours about this.
That's solid, man. I mean, you're on fire, brother. Getting all motivated and excited over here.
But that's it, man. Like, yeah. All right, so we got 2 minutes left till the top.
Oh, where'd the time go, brother?
Dude, it's been flying. It's been flying. Man, it's crazy. Javier's my boy. I know Javier. Direct commission is what he's talking about. He's got some other stuff in there. So I'm gonna let you. We got another one from Griffin. How many hours do you spend learning per week?
That's a good
and
question.
Why are you wrong?
Yeah. Can I, because, you're talking about learning per week. I mean, are we talking just on the computer itself, or are we talking, because I try to learn from everything. I just got that kind of
dude, mind. I was just about to grab a beer and you just spoke my language.
Oh,
learn from everything. Yeah. All right. So we'll talk cybersecurity. How many hours do you spend a week learning?
Man. Well, let's see. I mean, if you include the weekend and everything, I got to be putting in at least I never actually counted. Like, I just kind of.
I will say this: if you're less than anywhere from 7 to 14, you're wrong.
All right. Tell me how. You got me.
I'll explain. I'll
All
explain, but I want to know: do you put in, or at least here? Let me reset. Do you try? I know it's hard with the family man myself.
That's the
You
thing.
try to put in at least an hour a night or day, whenever.
Easily.
At least an hour.
Yeah,
So
very least.
Into 7. So you're good there.
Yeah.
Now let me explain why. So you're already getting to the limit of what I recommend anybody to do. Anybody trying to break into the field, at least an hour a night, or first thing in the morning, or sometime in the afternoon. Find your time, get that hour in, because at a certain point you quit learning, you quit retaining information. You can't just stuff your head full and think it's going to stick. It just doesn't work.
Yeah. You check out.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
And so I always recommend at least an hour. Now, we're going to go back to my Army days. So in my Army days, I would put in anywhere from an hour to 2 hours every night, hands down, guaranteed, sitting in front of my computer after the kids went to bed, working on my studies. Things that I, wanted to be professional at and wanted to do for the rest of my life. Because prior to me taking my cybersecurity MOS, I was not in cybersecurity. I was in IT or broadcast engineering or something. I was doing something other than what I wanted to do for the rest of my life. So I said, I got to study. I got to know this. So I put all that time in. When I got to the schoolhouse and we were doing SAN certifications, and I'm talking GSEC, GCED, GCIH, eventually GPYC, and I think there was one more. We took another SANS course that doesn't have a certification. I can't remember what it is. But I knew just about everything they were teaching. And I had someone ask me why, or not why, how. How do I know all this? My statement was simple. Actually, it was more of a question. What do you do when you get home from work or before you go to bed? And they said, oh, I make dinner, I spend time with my kids and my husband and da-da-da-da-da, and all these things. Not once from the time they got off work to the time they went to bed did studying or practicing or anything come into the equation. I said, and that is why you know nothing.
Oh, man.
I said, because this is my passion. This is my love. This is what I want to do for the rest of my life. So I have been learning it for years. Before I got married, after I got married, my wife married me knowing this is what I was going to do for my life. So I have always done it. And so that is where that passion comes in. If you're not putting in those hours, again, I respect anybody with a family, but you still got to make time for your passion, your hobbies, your love, whatever you want to do for the rest of your life, you have to make time for it. And that is what I did. And so that is what everybody else, I stand by this, has to do. Because if you do not, or if work does not give you the time during the day to do it, you will fall behind and you will suffer.
Yeah, so true, man. I know, like I say, I put in, easily 50, but I always find that time at the end of the night, it's, I mean, different days, like one day it'll be a couple hours maybe, or 1 hour, but, if it's important to you, you'll make time for it.
Yep.
And like I say, I've got a foundational support system that just allows me to thrive in that manner.
And that was the big thing with me. My wife, when I was going for my certified pen tester by IACRB, so that one doesn't expire or anything like that. So I still have it. When I was going for that one, I had a month to complete the pen test and the report. It took me almost an entire month. Mind you, from the time I got off work to the time I completed it, or to the time I went to bed, that's what I was doing.
Yeah.
My wife sat there and was like, "You ain't figured it out yet?" Nope. Go to bed because I'm still working. And I would spend hours, trying to figure this out. So I finally figured it out. And I did. I eventually got it. I wrote the report, did everything I needed to do. But that was by far, it wasn't a hard one. Now that I look back at what had to be done for it, it wasn't that difficult. But it was a matter of understanding how computers work, understanding how malware works, understanding how reverse shells work. Things that I thought I knew, it taught me a whole new can of worms, like a whole bunch of new lessons of like, sometimes shit doesn't work the first time. You need to try it 3 or 4 times. And you're like, I didn't know that. I thought it would just work.
That's interesting. Yeah, that's interesting. I never really thought about that. You know, it might not.
Dude, you learn something new every day. And that
yeah.
I talked to some buddies after the fact. They're like, how long did it take you? I'm like, shut up.
We don't talk about these things.
I failed my OSCP the first time. And I'm just like,
okay. I heard that's a beast.
It's the whole premise of writing a report in 24 hours that got me.
That's what I mean. Like it's so condensed and short, and you're under the gun, and
yeah. So on that note, we're after the top of the hour. Terry,
yes.
Of all things, if you could give any advice to people trying to break in, because I know you're still trying to break in yourself.
Yeah, still working.
So
on
anybody in the same shoes as you, what advice would you give them?
Oh man, just believe in thyself. Like I said, everybody has a voice, and everybody has something that drives them. And if for you, cyber's it. If you're motivated without, gosh, when I say it in my head, it sounded so much prettier. But what I'm gonna say is, never give up on yourself, and allow yourself to struggle, and know that if it's really meant to be, then you're going to do whatever it takes. And like I said earlier, man, everybody deserves to have the voice of a lion. And if that voice within you tells you that you need to be within this field, you're going to make it happen. It may take time. Same here, man. Just make sure that you never give up on yourself, no matter what facet that is, or whatever, detail that might entail, because regardless of anything, you are indeed worth it. And if this is really a passion and something that fires you up and allows you to get charged up, then nothing and no one can stand in the way of that. And you will eventually get through. So stand tall, stand strong, and be a lion.
I love it. I prefer wolves, but you know what? We'll go with a lion.
Hey, dude, a wolf is just as BA, man. Right, baby.
I love it.
Yeah, man.
I love it. But yeah, man, no, for real. Like I tell everybody, you don't quit. You're not allowed to quit. Never give up and keep pushing. You got to keep pushing forward, because we're going to hit obstacles. We're going to have something in our way. And if your why, if your reason for being, if your purpose is not strong enough, it makes those obstacles so much harder. So know your why, know your purpose, know everything, and go for it full bore.
Yes.
Me and MT talked about it last week. Quit looking for 100%. Oh, yeah, I got to meet every single fucking requirement. Get bent, homie. Go out there and apply for any job you enjoy. If you look at a description and you say, yep, I want this job, then fucking apply. Don't even look at the requirements. Nice. Apply for it. And if you need help with a resume, if you need help with IT, if you need help with labs, please look up KevTech IT support. That man has been doing labs for Azure and everything else for quite a few years now. That man will help you out. I'll help you out with some blue team shit. I got some Security Onion labs out there. So you can take a look at Security Onion if you check out my playlist. Otherwise, look, this has been another amazing fucking episode. Security Happy Hour. My boy Terry is here. We got MT and everybody else in the chat. I love you all. If you want some awesome merchandise, please head to CyberWarriorStudios.com and buy it. Otherwise, check the description for other ways you can follow me, follow Terry, or support the show. I will catch you all next week with another amazing episode. And I hope to see you all there, because I ain't going to lie. It's going to be a banger. Take care. Have a good one. Enjoy your weekend.